Hey guys, what's up? So, Firefly went ahead and sent me another guitar, so let's check it out. Hey guys, so this time around, Firefly went ahead and sent me this 27-inch blacktop style Telecaster, this baritone beast of a guitar. It is definitely a more classic vintage style aesthetic, and I thought it was kind of cool. I'm a big Tele guy. I really like Teles. I wasn't too certain about the humbucker with the two, single coil pickups. And if I had to be honest, the way this is set up with the bridge, it looks a little bit awkward, but not really. I think it's just that middle pickup that's throwing me off a little bit. Overall, I unboxed this guitar like a week ago. I'll have to say with this particular guitar, nothing functionally is problematic. I have not encountered a high fret yet. The fret ends are done pretty well. There is one thing to kind of harp on, and that is the placement of the fret ends, the ball ends. They don't quite make it all the way to the edge of the fretboard as you get up the neck and it widens out. That's just something you don't see on higher end guitars. You don't typically see that set-in fretwork be quite so, I want to say off, because it's definitely centered. It's definitely doesn't affect the playability. If I had to really say anything about it, it's that the neck just feels a little bit too wide for the frets. So yeah, that's my only gripe with the fretwork. The tuning machines are actually pretty good. They're not locking. I have noticed that Firefly and some of the more recent runs have kind of abandoned some of the locking tuners, and that might be a cost-cutting thing. I remember on one of the other guitars that I looked at from them, it came with locking tuners, and it's kind of a downgrade in my opinion, but it is what it is. These are fine. They actually feel really well. The other interesting thing about this is it's one of the only like hardtail style guitars that I actually see on their website. There aren't too many out there. And one thing that's kind of weird about this is this bridge is one of those combination top loader string through style bridges. So you have the option of either feeding the string straight through the back, or there is actually, string through ferrules here. So you can go string through. One of the downsides of that particular bridge style is that the saddles tend to have a weird pitch and angle to them sometimes, and that really depends on how well placed the bridge is and how your intonation looks. If you have to pull that saddle way the heck back to get the thing in tune, then it will definitely have an awkward pitch. But the video today isn't really so much about this guitar in its stock form. I think for the price point that they offer this at, right about $200, it's a perfectly acceptable and really great guitar. Not to mention bone nut on a guitar at the $200 price range. Really cool nowadays. But not everything is, all hunky-dory. I don't think the electronics on here, like the pickups, are particularly great. They sound a little bit hollow and they're a little bit microphonic, at least the humbucker is. The single coils, they sound fine. But you are working with like a dual Telecaster neck pickup thing going on here. And I'm going to completely get rid of this setup, and I'm going to do something way different for this guitar. So for this mod project, I got some black hardware in tow. I got some kind of different accoutrement for the guitar in terms of the aesthetics. I have a pick guard that I'm going to swap in here that's more of a stressed black one that'll fit a humbucker. And I'm going to go dual humbucker on this guy because for baritone stuff, for me, I like the heavy, chuggy, ability to do all the aggressive stuff. And what I have today is something that I didn't even know existed until the company reached out to me asking if I had anything that I was interested in looking at. And the company is Guyker. And Guyker is known for their hardware. They're known for, tuning pegs. They're known for bridge hardware. But if you go on their website, and I'll link it down below, they have a lot of electronic stuff too. A lot of, tone capacitors, potentiometers, just a whole suite of things that I didn't even realize existed or that, they sold on the regular. And one of which is pickups. I didn't know they sold pickups. And so they got these high output, like quad rail style pickups that they sent me. And, I'm going to put these in this guitar to see if I can't make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more my style. But, just the aesthetic of these is pretty cool. It very much is reminiscent of, like, the bare knuckle Black Hawk or the bare knuckle, some of those bare knuckle designs that are kind of geared towards heavy metal genty styles. These basically have that same look in terms of resistance, in terms of actual specs. The bridge is right about 13.2 kilo ohm resistance, and the neck pickup over here is only about 7.3, a pretty standard thing. They might be ceramic. I'm thinking they're ceramic magnets. There's not a whole lot of information on the Guyker website, and when you go check them out, you'll see that. But I'm going to guess that these are ceramic and not Alnico. Either way, I like the way they look. I think they're going to look good in this guitar. But before we get to all that, modifying shenanigans, let me go ahead and plug this in stock just so you can hear what it sounds like, just in case you are a fan of this kind of style and configuration, and maybe you can come up with your own decisions on whether or not you would need to actually swap out the pickups. Alright guys, so I'm just on the EVH 5153 Stealth clean channel. I'm pretty sure that for this pickup configuration stock, that the clean channel is kind of where it best, lives. But we'll move over to high gain because I think it can also do that too in stock form. So here's what I got just on the humbucker. Yeah, so on a clean channel, I feel like the humbucker is definitely the best pickup out of the three going. The two Telecaster neck pickups here, they're very dark, and when you parallel split them, especially with like the humbucker here, they just lose all clarity. The middle position, not bad. The parallel in the fourth, again, it gets pretty dark. But the neck pickup actually sounds pretty good. If I were somebody who wanted the variability of having like more single coil voicings, I would just get rid of the middle position pickup and just run the neck Telecaster and keep with the humbucker as is. The humbucker doesn't sound bad. It just has kind of a mid-range kind of honk to it that's okay. It's a little bit, in the low end, it has a little bit of that like flat kind of flabby scoopiness to it. I'm only in drop A, but that could also be the tuning and kind of like the string gauges that are being used here. If I roll over to the high gain channel and we just see what this humbucker can do, because that's really all I'm going to use with high gain on this is the humbucker. That actually doesn't sound bad. I will say that if you turn off, the noise gate, these pickups are a bit noisy, a little bit more on the mic. Yeah. There's just a bit of like a microphonic issue going on. I have it as good as I'm going to get it with like where I'm sitting. But with the noise gate, it's not bad. I actually think some people might actually dig that particular tone. I think if you were to just get a secondary pickup for the neck here, or just go fully single pickup on this, one of the cool things about this is a pickup ring, you know, with the humbucker. If you just wanted to get a blank pick guard and throw it on here, this is a standard Telecaster 8 hole pick guard that you would find on like any kind of like Squier guitar. You can just swap it out, have a single pickup configuration, and you might be good to go with this. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and take this, do all my modifications to it, get it how I think I want it with those Guyker pickups, and then we'll come back and we'll hear how it sounds. All right, guys, so I'm back with the 27-inch Firefly Baritone, this Telecaster. I've got the Guyker branded pickups installed. I'm pretty confident that what I've done here is a substantial upgrade to somewhat the aesthetic, but also the tonal qualities of this guitar for my purposes. And, you know, let's just get into what I did to this guitar before we jump in and hear what it sounds like through this EVH 5150. All right, so first up, we got these Guyker branded pickups in here. These quad rail looking things, and, you know, dual humbuckers. They look really cool. We got about 13.2 kilo ohms resistance on the bridge pickup and about 7.3 on the neck. A pretty standard kind of configuration for any sort of run-of-the-mill pickup set. Again, I'm pretty confident these are ceramic pickups, and I'm pretty confident that these are pretty much built to a really generic spec, but they are, to me, a marked improvement over the stock pickup that came in this, which was more vintagey and a little bit more scooped. So we'll get into what that sounds like. Additionally, had to go with some black tuners to match the black aesthetic that I'm going for. These happen to just be some Grover mini Rotomatic tuners, non-locking. I had these on hand, so I just put them on. Additionally, a black kind of generic hardtail style bridge. It was basically an in-kind replacement. I didn't, you know, go and find something more fancy or more crazy. It's literally the same exact style of bridge with a black finish. I also took off the glossy pick guard and I put on this matte worn pick guard that I had laying around. It's already pre-worn in. It's already got a matte finish to it. I did do some stressing on the plate here for the control cavity. The other thing you might notice here, I put on a clear acrylic speed knob instead of the metal silver knob. Additionally, I flipped the orientation of the switch and the knobs. And here, where the volume knob used to be, is a two-way mini toggle switch for flipping the coil split on the two pickups. So a bit of electronic modification going on here. That leads me to what I had to do to this guitar beyond just the simple modifications to make this all work. Now, first up, I did end up swapping the potentiometers out because what comes in this guitar are 250K resistance potentiometers. Those are mainly built for single coil pickups. This is a full humbucker build. I needed to bump it up to 500K, so this volume pot is a 500K alpha pot. Additionally, I had to do a little bit of route work under the pick guard to make this humbucker fit. So a bit of a word of caution to those who get this guitar thinking you can do what I did. This is not routed for two humbuckers. I was expecting to find like a bathtub route, something very generic. So I had to cut wood out and shape this to where this would fit. And then I re-shielded because I took off, obviously there was a lot of exposed non-shielded painting going on there. I did some copper shielding here, and I made it, you know, I re-drilled out the route to go in between. If you decide to go with two humbuckers, this is going to need some modification in terms of woodwork. Additionally, you can do what I said earlier in the video and just go one pickup on this thing. I think in hindsight, I might have just done that, but here I am. Anyway, let's get into how these Guyker pickups sound, and I'm running the clean channel here on the EVH Stealth, and here's what I got on the bridge pickup full humbucker. And then here's if I split the coil. Now with split coil tones, I really like to use the middle position, the parallel, configuration between the two pickups. And cool enough with this pickup set and the way it's wired, when you split the coil, it is a humbucking effect. But here's what I got with that parallel split. And then if I go over to the neck pickup with the full humbucker, pretty good beefy sound. One of the things I like about this pickup configuration over the original is it doesn't have that really scooped sound. It's more mid-forward. I think that's pretty nice, especially for a baritone when you want a little bit more of that low-end presence to come through. Going back over to the bridge pickup just on the full humbucker. Yeah, I like that a lot more than the original humbucker. It just sounds a lot more forward and present. So let's go on to what I do here best, and that is high gain tones. And we're going to go over to the red channel on this guy and just let it loose on the humbucker on the bridge, because that's kind of where I live. So here's what I got here. So these actually have a decent amount of output in terms of frequencies. There's a lot of mid-range going on. In fact, I might go ahead and kick the gain on the red channel down a scotch. I might even bring the mids back, scoop those out a little bit, and just bring the presence up slightly, just to see what I got there. Let's not be confused here. These are not going to be something like a bare knuckle Blackhawk, or like one of the other kind of quad rail styles like the Impulse or the Halcyon pickups. Those pickups are very much designed to be on the lower end of resistance, but still high output. They retain a lot of top end clanky clarity. These aren't clanky. These aren't super modern sounding pickups. These got a bit more of like a growl and a bit more of kind of a low end texture. And so for a baritone guitar, these can do pretty well for very specific styles, sludgy, doomy styles. I think these work really well. I think these do pretty okay for kind of aggressive metalcore styles, but if you're trying to go really modern djenty, I don't think these are going to do it. And even with like a coil split, you can get a little bit more top end, but obviously you're going to contend with noise. I just have a really nice noise gate, so you don't hear much noise, but still, that coil split is a little too scooped for being like a modern djenty tone. With the full humbucker, going to something like the full high gain red channel, you might be better served going to like the blue channel and then throwing on like an overdrive, like the, I got the king in yellow here. Yeah, a little bit lower gain, but more top end forward. Turn the highs up on that channel just a tad. Yeah, I actually kind of like that sound. So you can kind of get it there without it needing to be a more modern design type of pickup. But the aesthetics, the overall configuration here and how it kind of looks in this, this baritone here, I think it looks really cool. And for like $130 something, I think they are on the Guyker website. I'll throw the link down, obviously. It's hard to kind of get a pickup set, a budget style pickup set, in that price range that doesn't just have a lot of deficiencies in one way or another. Either you get a really cool sounding, bridge pickup and the neck is kind of like, or you get like a pretty decent jazzy style, just cool, clean tone neck pickup and a just okay bridge pickup that when you distort it, it kind of falls apart and becomes a little thuddy. I think this one's pretty balanced. I think if there was a weakness here, it's that the neck pickup is a pretty generic sounding neck pickup. But with this neck pickup, doing like the coil split and stuff, you do get a little bit more of that top end kind of airiness and chime to it. So I'd recommend just doing a coil split on this configuration no matter what. Overall, I think this is a cool mod project. I think this definitely makes the guitar punch up even harder. Dual humbuckers, I like it. I like the worn in matte finish on this pickguard with the kind of stressed out, metal plate here. I like doing the black and kind of the mix of black and silver, and then this acrylic knob is really cool. Overall, I have this in drop G, if you were wondering, using a set of string joy strings. Yeah, I don't know, pretty cool. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about this particular modification, this build. What you think of Guyker's pickups. I didn't even know they had them. Pleasantly surprised to hear that they sound pretty good for the price. And, I'm probably going to rock this guitar in a couple other videos to see kind of how it contends against some other higher end builds. So, yeah, let me know what's up in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.